Ba ba da ba. Ba 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 ba. Ra da da da. What's good, everyone? How you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a good day. It is episode 12. This is great. We're getting somewhere with this. Episode 12. We're past 10. That's cool. Let's see. We have a lot of stuff. Yesterday got kind of interrupted. I don't know why I just said that, but we got interrupted yesterday because I got a gig. Got a last minute gig. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some music stuff because why not? Because it happened. And recap. We're also going to talk about some gigs that are going around in New Hampshire because why not support your local peeps. As you can tell, the hat is a missing. Where is it? There it is. Boom. Hat's missing, which means, you know what that means. We had a gig. We had a gig, friend. It was a good time. We are going to talk about some funny stories today. Let's see. We're going to talk about some funny stories. I'm going to support some local venues and some musicians. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about who's playing where and everything. That's something new I'm doing. I don't know why, but I'm in that mood today. I'm in a nice supporting mood. And what else are we going to do? Recap about yesterday because, like I said, I had stories I want to talk about. I didn't really get to talk about them full depth. So we're going to get into that. And grab your cup of Joe. I hope you have a nice cup with you. Today I'm just drinking out of... I got this cup a while ago. It's super dirty. I don't know why. I cleaned it. I swear. Isn't that weird how when you clean something and, like, you still get the... You know what I mean? Like, it's still there? The fuck, man. So grab your cup of coffee. I'm going to light some incense sticks. We're going to talk about some stories and some fun stuff. Let's get into it. And feel free to comment. Don't be shy. And let's get into it. Boo!
Well, I'm bored as shit, got nothing to do during this quarantine time. So I might as well make a video or post something on YouTube. So it's my podcast. Cool.
Welcome to the podcast. I still don't know what to call this. I think we're just going to call it Quarantine Podcast or Quarantine Live Stream. You know, just keep it that. Today is a non-sponsored video because none of my videos will ever be sponsored. Haha. This is raw. That's my first cup of coffee. Oh. Good coffee. We got this coffee at Marshall's. Because why does Marshall's sell that? But anyway, we got it. We got some nice coffee. It was fancy. Fancy schmancy. But it's good. It's smooth. It's subtle. Today we're using Island Rudy's Original. Telling you guys, these smell wicked good. They do smell smoky. I'm just going to light one because honestly, two is a little overkill. Gets a real smoky in here. Turns it into Woodstock. I had a freaking lighter right here. Guess I must be tripping. And we moved to get a we try to get a this fucking headset cable is so long. All right, I'm back. The incense is a-flowing. Can you see it? Boop. Before I get into some stories, I'm going to talk about some local musicians that are going to be playing around New Hampshire today. Because why not? How am I doing this, my friends? Because I have friends on Facebook, like the infamous Paul Cosley and Not So Cosley Productions. Feel free to go like them on Facebook, by the way. You can see when they post every day. They have not posted today yet. So, Akko Taco. I know Louis Goodwin is going to be playing at Shane's Texas Pit Bar and Grill today. That was an amazing place. It is an amazing place. You guys should go check it out. Go support some live music and everything like that. Um, well, I guess we'll just do that later because since right now I don't know why it's I don't all my friends haven't posted yet. Post, my friends. Post, my friends. Be active on the community. uh, Yesterday was a great time. I played at Shane's Texas Pit Bar and Grill. It was a great time. The food is amazing. It was just a great time. My podcast got interrupted and I got a last minute gig. It was there. They have this bar in the backyard and in like the back. It's like a backyard. It's really chill, and it's called an Insta Bar, and it's New England's first Insta Bar, guys. It's really cool. Go check it out on Instagram, Facebook. It's super cool, and they have really good live music and stuff like that. Hey guys, you want to know what's really cool I can tell you about right now? That tomorrow I'm going to have my first guest on here, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be really cool. It's going to be Jake Bartolin from Gamophone Productions and Studios. I hope I got that right. Don't be mad. I'm sorry, it's Gramophone Productions. He's a good friend of mine. I knew him back in college, and he started his own kind of company and studio. So for all my fellow musician friends that need a producer, go check him out. He's a really good guy, and he does make some hella good beats and stuff like that. He works with a wide range of people. He came out to my show last night and it was great. I asked him immediately. I was like, do you want to be on my podcast?" And he lives nearby, so we're gonna meet up tomorrow, and it's gonna be kind of later in the day. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna be talking about some funny stories, really funny stories, and we're gonna be talking about some music stuff. Not like music, more of like the business side of it, and just getting to know him and everything, and having you guys be there. I think it's going to be a good time, and I think we'll be able to learn something from the both of us, for all of us, I should say. So again, I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in so far. I really appreciate that. Don't be shy. Feel free to comment and all that stuff, because, that's how we stay community. That's how we stay together. What the hell was I just trying to say? Random fact time. I'm going to give you some random facts, and we're going to just discuss about them because why not? The New York Stock Exchange started as a coffee shop. What the fuck? Is that right? Is that true? The New York Stock Exchange? Would you like your coffee? How would you like to invest in it? What? In the Great Fire of London, there was a great fire, I guess, in London in 1666. Wow, half of London was burned down, but only 6 people were injured. That's a funny thought. That's not fun. That's not fun. I don't know why I was gonna say that. Bear with me. I haven't really had my coffee. I should be sipping my coffee. The U.S. founding fathers. The people that found America. The name for the American Revolution was the War with Britain. Well, I hope you would know that. I would hope you would know that. There's a city called Rome on every continent. Do you want to know what I've also realized? There's a Manchester everywhere. There's a Manchester, UK. There's a Manchester, New Hampshire. There's the Manchester, Mass. They're everywhere. I bet you there's Manchesters in other places. Tom Segura talked about this. There's a Paris, France, and Missouri or something like that. Wait, it's like, hold on. It's called Paris. It's a city. Paris. Paris is a city in Texas. They even have an Eiffel Tower there. Those are the most, and like Tom Segura said, those people must be confused. Guys, if you haven't seen Tom Segura, go check him out. He has a bunch of stuff on Netflix. Same with Bert Kreischer. I actually just watched Bert Kreischer's Hey Big Boy again last night, and I watched Jimmy Carr, who, if you don't know who Jimmy Carr is, he's absolutely brilliant. He's hilarious. He's freaking gold. He's very funny. Who's another guy? Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, Jimmy Carr. Those guys are killing it. If you guys haven't checked out Joe Rogan's podcast, he's another comedian and very famous just influencer and an amazing guy. He has a podcast, Joe Rogan's Experience. They do a lot of stuff, and they have a lot of great guests. Something I'd like to do. Tomorrow, like I said, we're going to have Jake Bartolin of Gramophone Productions and Studios. So we're going to do another intro again, just so that way we can transition, if you will, to stories, since yesterday got rudely interrupted. I'm trying to fix this cable, but it's not working. So let's get into some stories.
Well, I'm bored as shit, got nothing to do during this quarantine time. So I might as well make a video or post something on YouTube. So it's my podcast. Cool.
Hello, everyone. Hey, Brianna. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Madre. Hello. Thanks for watching and tuning in. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the comments. So yesterday I was talking about the trip that I went to Florida, and it was a great time. It was back when I was a kid, and I got really sick, and it was a very funny story about how I was when I was getting to Florida. I was trying to overcome the sickness, and my parents had given me medicine, and not knowing how much medicine I needed to kick this out of my system. So that was a funny kind of experience, especially going on an airplane. And during that trip, it was a great time because it was years ago. I was a little kid, and one of our neighborhood friends had moved, and he was a dear good friend of ours, and he had moved to Florida to live on Disneyland, pretty much. Which to any kid back then, that was like, can I go? Can you adopt me? So when we were there, the whole thing was we got to hang out with him again. And it was a great time. And this kid, he's like Steve Irwin. You know what I mean? He is the crocodile hunter. He is like all about the outdoors, and he's always been like that kid that like used to collect salamanders and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys ever knew people like that. Had the case of like full of caterpillars and used to sell like caterpillars as pets. Genius idea. Because you know what I mean? That's a great business tactic for a kid. Anyway, so there's this time when we're in Florida and we all meet up. It's all just the three of us, and it was like the three amigos again, and we're like, hey, let's go walk the beach or something like that, because we couldn't do really much. There really wasn't much to do except for just walk a beach. So we start walking the beach, and this friend that was like Steve Irwin, we'll just call him Steve, okay? We'll just call this kid Steve. And Steve is like, hey, you know what? I think we should go walk this sandbar and try to collect some like cool sea shit or whatever. And we're all like, yeah, for sure. Now, meanwhile, let me tell you, I don't know if you remember from yesterday's podcast, but me and Water we're just not friends. Me and Water just don't go well together. I'm like a cat, man. I'm just like not good with Water. Now it's different. But back then, growing up, I was not a water kid. I liked the ground, and the ground liked me. I was notorious for drowning, for panicking, for just always getting hurt in water. And this is a prime example because we're walking the sandbar, and sandbars can go out for quite some time. Sandbars can go for miles, and if you fall off that sandbar, you're pretty much fucked unless you get back on it. But the thing is, I remember we walked so far out that eventually we turned around, and the hotel that we were staying at had to easily have been like 3 miles behind us. Which for kids, that's a pretty long distance just to be walking the sandbar. So that's when we all kind of started being like, maybe we should turn back. And this big wave just came and just fucking took us. Boom. And literally a scene from a horror movie. Where's Jaws when you need it? Anyway, before I even say that, the sandbar, the way it dipped out, it had coral beds. So, like, there was this coral everywhere. And I cut myself on my hand. And I didn't know it. And so when we get pushed off the sandbar, I scrape up against the coral, and long and behold, I'm bleeding, and none of us know it. And at this point, we pretty much just say fuck it, abandon ship, and now all of us are just trying to swim back to shore, which not you shouldn't have done it. Like it's just you just don't do that because this was something that was like miles. Like I said, it was miles away from shore, so we shouldn't have been trying to even take that and try to swim. We should have just tried to get back on the sandbar. And so what happens is we try to swim, and next thing you know, this boat comes up, and it's like a party boat, on the pontoon. That's what it was. It was like a big pontoon, and it was pretty much like beach security in a way, like marine patrol. I don't know what to call it. I don't think it really was. I think it was just a bunch of people on a pontoon, because I don't think marine patrol or like cops would be driving a fucking pontoon. But there was just these group of people, and they literally pulled us out of the water, put us on the boat. And at that point, I had realized I cut my hand, and they like helped. They gave us like some stuff and like a towel or something like that. And they explained to us, like, I don't know if you realize, but there was sharks. Like there was a group of blue, like I forget what they're called. They weren't great whites, but they were a pack of sharks, and they were coming to pretty much just fuck our day. And they had pulled us out, and you could see all the like the commotion in the water and everything from the sharks and everything, and it was horrifying. It was horrifying, and they had driven us back close to shore. They couldn't drive us fully on shore, but they drove us. I remember they drove us close, and then we just hopped out and swam, and we're literally like 10 feet away from the shoreline, and that was insane. I remember after like we all three of us, we made a plot to like not tell our moms, because we were just like that we would get screwed over. But for someone that already had a fear of water, me, and having that happen, and that wasn't the first encounter I ever had. You want to know what's funny? I had an encounter once. Do you ever go snorkeling or scuba diving? It's a great time. I actually really recommend it. When I was a kid, now when you're a kid, everything's a lot more dramatic. Everything's a lot more to your face, and it's more scarier than it actually is. And it's crazy how your mind trips yourself out like that, actually. And there was this time where my family, we went on a cruise this is years and years ago, holy moly. And we go on to a cruise to Jamaica, to Nassau. It was a great time. It was a beautiful time. I loved that trip. But I'm getting off track here. I'm trying to talk about snorkeling and scuba diving. So there's this time where when we landed on one of the islands, because like our cruise ships do that, they land on like some islands, and you can do like some activities and stuff like that. Well, there was this time where one of the things was they were doing like excursions, and they were doing like scuba diving. And so you had to take a little small class and everything. And it was great because you're on the beach and you're doing a little small class about scuba diving. You can even gotten your scuba diving license, but I was way too young back then to really do that. But we ended up taking the class, and then they had like a map that you could go, you can go scuba diving over here. There's like a sunken ship. There's a sunken plane over here from Vietnam, or not from Vietnam, from what war was it? I think it was World War II. Yeah. And it was like a bunch of cool stuff. So my dad and I were like, let's go check out this plane. That'd be cool. Because I love history and stuff like that. Because the boat, I think, was put there. It was like a boat that like they sunk purposely for that thing, which I thought was kind of dumb. But to have like something that actually crashed there that is like historical, I think that's cool. Which there's a fear, by the way, of that. I didn't realize that. It's like a really weird to have a fear of finding things underwater, like a sunken ship or something. There's a fear for that, which is that kind of blew me away, and I could see how that could be one, because it's kind of unsettling, but it's really cool when you kind of like ignore that fact that it could potentially be creepy. You just ignore that fact. So we go out, and again, it was just my dad and I, and we go out. It was a while away, but it was pretty shallow. Like the most, it was probably like 15 feet deep max. And then I think the deepest it went was probably like 20 feet. You know what I mean? Because it got pretty deep at one point. But that was where the plane was. And we didn't really get to the plane. We kind of had seen it in the distance. We were probably 20 feet away from it. 30 feet away from it. We could see it. But what had happened was an eel had like swam up to me, and I flipped my shit, like freaked out. I remember like getting my head out of the water and just being like, what the hell? Like, just not okay with that. And my dad's laughing and he's making a joke out of it. And next thing you know, he like looks over in the distance and he's like, we got to swim back now. So we start swimming back, and like he's freaking me out, dude. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, we got to swim back now. And we get there, and he was like, there was a shark in the distance or something like that. And till this day, I thought that was really happened, because I remember him telling me like, don't look back, keep swimming. So then to this day, I remember telling him that story recently, and he told me that was a joke. And I'm like, who the hell does that? That's a messed up joke. But in my earlier podcast, I used to prank people, so it was kind of like karma, you know? So you get what you get. You get what you get. So, yeah, that was a fun trip, though. I really recommend doing that stuff because, you know, you only get to experience so much, and to push yourself. That's why I say, like, if you have a fear, and if you have a fear, like my fear right now is heights. I'm trying to get over my fear of heights. But if you have a fear of heights, man, or if you just have a fear, I challenge you to conquer that fear, because I do believe that fears can be conquered. I do believe that. I was telling Christina the other day that when I was a kid, that I did my first show, and I remember I got my first role in The Music Man, and I was Winthrop Perot. And I was 6 years old. I had an IEP, I think. I was kind of like the slow kid, is what they said. I wasn't fucking slow. My school was just goddamn lazy. But I just, you know, and I remember I had a lisp and everything, so I had a natural lisp, and I remember my school was actually, I was taking classes to get rid of the lisp. So when I got in this role, all the teachers were just like, oh, why? Because if you don't know about The Music Man, it's a beautiful play. If you're not really into theater, I recommend you to go outside the box and try it out. You know, if you're a dude that you're just like, ooh, theater, watch Jersey Boys, man. That's a great fucking play, and it's based on a true story. Like the Jersey Boys, it's about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. Do you know about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons? It's a crazy story. It is an amazing story. Let me just break this down to you. Do you like mafia mob stuff? If you do, I recommend Jersey Boys. It's good. And you want to know what? You know the songs, because there's songs that we like. It's based on a band, you know what I mean? So it's not quirky Broadway tunes, which I don't mind, but some people don't, you know? But, you know, if you're one of those people that you don't know how to feel about that stuff, I recommend Jersey Boys. And another good one, after you watch that, watch The Music Man. That's a great one. It is. And I remember when I was a kid, I got that script, and it was so huge. It was like a big book. It was a big book, and then on top of that, they gave me another big book, and there was just a sheet music. Because the first one was just a script with like the music, but it wasn't like written music. And then there was a book on top of that with just the sheet music. And I had no musical training at all. And I got home, and I had a full-blown panic attack. And I remember telling my parents, like, and my sister, like, I don't think I can do this. And if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to really work my ass off. And I did. So I just remember getting the CD and the DVD of The Music Man and just drilling the lines over and over and over and over again. And then when it came time to the show, I was so prepared. I was that kid that I knew everyone else's lines. If that person wasn't there that day, I would fill in for them in rehearsal because I knew their lines, and I was just so involved in it. I loved it. It was so much fun. It just challenged me, and I love I guess that's when I realized I like a good like puzzle or a good something like it's like a process. It's, like when you're in a show, there's a process to it all. And that's what amazes me about it. And that's what fascinated me about it, and that's what I loved about it was it's like, it's like playing a sport, that's what it is. It's you have your rehearsals, and then you have your techniques. You go over techniques, and you do the finalizing, and then you polish it off, and then you're ready for the game. You're ready to get that cup or whatever it is that you're trying to win. But in this case, you're ready for the show. And it was so fascinating to see how it came together. Like, there'd be times where I'd show up to the rehearsal, and you would see part of the set coming together, and during that week, finally you would see it come together in piece by piece, and it was just so exciting. And when you put your costume on, like, you felt the part, and like it was just so much fun. And when you're a kid, like it's great because your imagination is so wild and creative and going crazy that for theater, it's like a perfect medication for like kids with like ADD, like, and that was like me, because you could always just boom, 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 and believe it or not, what had happened was during the first show on opening night, I ended up having stage fright and panicking. And there was a few times it happened, believe it or not. There was a few times when I was a kid that I messed up my lines, and it happened. And it'd always be like really awkward. Like there was, like I remember one time I literally just like froze. Like I was a kid, and this wasn't like a theater, like a school play. This was like a public theater, and I think at the time it held like 150, 200 people. It was a small theater, but for a kid that was a lot. So there was a time where I like legit froze, and I remember like someone like being like whispering me the line next to me, like they were like, "It's this, say this," That was always awkward. But I guess what the whole point I'm trying to say is that during that time, at that point in my life, I realized that I had a fear that I never knew that existed, which was, believe it or not, it was stage fright, and it was, public speaking and doing all that stuff. And I think that's why I just got really obsessed with it at one point in my life, because once I conquered it, it was just so much fun. And that's why I'd say, like, conquer your fears, because once you conquer it, it's so much fun. You know what I mean? You can actually enjoy it way much more than you normally do. Interesting. If you could go back to yourself and you're younger, if you could travel back in time, what would be something you would say to yourself? Like, if you could tell yourself not to worry or something, like, about, like, do you remember those times where, like, something was so dramatic and it meant so much to you, but in all reality, it didn't mean shit? It didn't do anything? You know what I mean? Like, if you can go back in time, what would you say to yourself? If I could say one thing, man, I don't know what it'd be. I feel like there's too much things to say. But that's why we live life and we have fun. Hope you guys are having a good day and a good week so far. It's still early in the week. Tuesday. I feel like we're getting a lot. I feel like for me, I don't remember what day it is. People have to remind me. Oh, it's this day. Oh shit, I forgot. While I have a moment, I'm going to take some time. We're going to do a random fact again, because that's what this show's for. You get to learn something, a little food for your brain. The more you learn, and the more you know. The average lifespan of a peasant during the medieval ages was 25 years. That's a true fact. Can you imagine that? That your life expectancy, like that, like your lifespan was only 25 years. I'm 24. That means I'm dying next year. That's fucked. You know what I mean? And it's crazy too, because I don't know if you know this, but people back then were even shorter. They say that when you go to the theater that Abraham Lincoln was shot, that it's a very small theater, and it's because like even the doorways are smaller and everything like that. Like it's a smaller place, because back then people were a lot shorter. You know what I thought too about this? I thought this the other day. You know how gross people must have smelled back then? Like I'm talking like really back then. you know, especially, like you probably took a bath or a shower. It'd probably be a bath. That's what I was thinking. Would they take showers or bath? I mean, unless you live by a waterfall, that'd be your shower. But if you didn't, you took a bath. You know what I mean? That was a thing. You would take what'd it be like? Every month. All right, time to go. Where's my rubber ducky? Yeah, it's crazy. This is interesting. Did you know each day up to 150 species of life become extinct? Really? I want praying mantises to be one of those. Those are freaking terrifying. They still scare me. I don't know what it is. There was one time when I worked I think it was McDonald's or something like that. It was like one of my first jobs when I was like 14. And I remember going around taking the trash out outside, and on one of the trash cans I took it up. I lifted up the trash can and the lid of it, and a fucking praying mantis like this big, like literally like it like jumped on the lid, and it was doing this thing like, you want to go, motherfucker? And it was like going like this, oh, I'll take you on. It was like doing this thing with its arms. It was making itself look bigger. It was doing all ninja shit. And I just said that and I said, nope. I just walked away. Cause I've seen those videos on like National Geographic where they go like, oh dude, if 150 species get extinct that shit. That stuff is horrifying. I don't care what you say. I just have a fear about praying mantises. And don't you dare tell me to get over that fear. Cause screw that. Moving on though, turkeys often look up at the sky during a rainstorm. Unfortunately, some have been known to drown as a result. I'm sorry to laugh, but I'm just thinking like this one, like picture this like these two turkeys just looking up at the rainstorm and like, and they're like, Frank, it's really pouring, and Frank's just dead on the ground. He's, oh shit. Oh man, that's rough, man. That's rough. Whew. Did you know that McDonald's is the world's largest distributor of toys? Really? Is it? McDonald's is the world's largest distributor of toys? No shit. We talked about this yesterday. George Washington grew marijuana at his plantation. Smart genius. Dude, that's great. I just said smart genius. That's the same thing, Austin. Like I said, I'm still drinking my first cup of coffee. Hope you guys are having a good one. I hope you guys let's check Facebook, see if anyone's commented. I got in those comments, so that's good. I just like to make sure, man. Yesterday when I did my show, it went really well. Thanks for asking, by the way. It did. As some would say, I guess I knocked it out of the park. Which I just play my heart out. And this is why I'm going to talk about this. I think this is good for anyone. When I was a huge fan of the Grateful Dead, and if you're not a fan of the Grateful Dead, that's okay. Like it's a taste of music, I get that. For one, I studied like Jerry Garcia, his guitar, his rhythm, his theory, like his just the whole process of that, because it was really interesting to me. And there was this interview with him way back when, it was after Woodstock, and he said that he did this concert one time where someone had given him a cake, and the cake was laced with like LSD, like a shit ton of LSD. And he ate this cake, and he ended up having to play a show, and he was tripping so hard that he thought that these people in the audience, like after, like he was gonna die. So he was like, I'm gonna play my heart out. I'm gonna play like it's like the last time I ever played music. So that stuck with me. That resonated with me. So I always try to do that. I always tell myself, like, what if this is the last gig? Or for this place, what if this is the only time I play here? Especially if it's a new restaurant. I love playing at new restaurants, man, because that means they have never experienced it. Um, I've played at restaurants. Like I had a residency with this place that I played at for, 4 years, like a long time. And you can see over time when people get used to your performance and everything, and it's kind of because you're just there all the time. So you see it, So when you get an opportunity to play at a new restaurant, it's so much fun. It is just so much fun because you know that no one has experienced it or heard it. So you just fucking play your heart out, and it was a great time. I've been spending all. I have like this one smudge on my glasses I've been trying to get rid of. I saw this post the other day. They were like, for all the people that wear glasses, how do you always keep them clean? We don't. We don't. And that's what the meme was, and it was like, we don't. We just keep them dirty, and when we clean them, and when we finally choose to clean them, it's like a brand new pair of glasses. Look at that. I still didn't get that smudge, but it'll do. It'll do, donkey. It'll do. Shrek. Some of you guys wanted to hear some of my impersonations. To be honest, I don't have the confidence for it. So if you guys would like to hear it at one point, you guys are more than welcome to comment it, and maybe I can try. Give me some people to impersonate, and maybe I'll give it a go. Give it a go. But I'm probably gonna take a little bit of a break, a little intermissione. This is probably a good time because we're probably like 40 minutes into this podcast right now. I wanted to take a break, just so that way I can intermission it and transition it to some more stories. I have some more stories for you guys, some more fishing. I don't know if we got any fishing people that like to, any anglers out there, but if you don't, this is gonna be just a funny story, just all around. And if you don't go fishing, what the fuck are you doing? Like it's actually, someone told me like like they were like saying they're like, I really love golf, but I hate fishing, and I'm like, dude, it's pretty much the same thing. Golf and fishing are very similar things. The only thing that's different is you're catching something at the end. You're yeah, you're bringing in that prize. But you gotta estimate where you're. There's strategies to the fishing, and there's an art form to it too. Especially if you're a fly fisherman, or even if you're a trout fisherman. If you're going after a certain species, that's when it kind of gets into like a sport, or a challenge. I personally, I do a lot of trout fishing. I love trout fishing. Why? Because I think they're the most, like, I don't know, I think they're really pretty looking. I think they're cool. I've seen bass before, and I don't know, I just feel like a bass is a bass. But when I see a trout, like the colors on it and everything, and like especially like the rainbows and the brook and the, there's all these different species, and then it goes up to salmon too. So it's like it's really cool, and it's tricky as shit, because trout are very fidgety motherfuckers. But yeah, we're gonna talk about some funny things that I've done in the past, and some things that I've made myself look like an idiot. I've literally sometimes made myself look like Clark from National Lampoon's Vacation. Sometimes where I just kind of go, oof, why did I do that? So yeah, I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna take a little break, maybe refill my coffee. What's your favorite coffee? Before I take this break, I'm gonna finish this cup of coffee here on camera, just so that way when I take my break, I can literally just go refill it. This cup of coffee, this mug is. Hey, when it leaves that little rim, when you let coffee sit, and then you take a sip, and then you see that little line on the inside, that drives my OCD, man. Oh, it's just like, why won't you stay clean? All right, guys, I'm gonna go get another cup of coffee, and just kind of figure out where we're gonna go next. And I'll be right back. It's gonna be a short little intermissione. Stay tuned, guys, and I'll see you then.
bored as shit, got nothing to do during this quarantine time. So I might as well make a video or post something on YouTube. So it's my podcast. Cool.
Yeah, well, we're back. I hope you guys are having a good one. Thank you again for just chilling out with me. I got a nice cup of Joe again. Nice and hot. Ooh, that's hot. Tastes great, though. Fishing, man. It was a great it is a great thing. I just love it. I kind of got into it when I was in college. It was something I did when I was growing up. You know, something my grandfather and I used to do. Me and my cousin, grandfather, and we all just used to go fishing, either on a boat or on a pond. You know, and it's just a fun thing to do. You know, if you're someone that wants to go out and go in the outdoors and just kind of either just smoke a doobie or just smoke a cigarette or just relax, man. There's nothing better. You just take your rod, you just cast it out, let it sit. There's all types of fishing. There's different types. There's a lazy man fishing, which has become one of my favorites because it's great. Because if you're someone that likes to just chill out and just kind of like enjoy the sun or the outdoors, you can lazy man fish, and technically there's like a certain kind of setup and rig for that. And I don't want to go too much in depth, but that it's really easy. It's foolproof, and you can easily catch some big ones on there. And all you do is you just cast it out with a big ass weight, and it just sinks. And you just get a rod holder, and you get a little bell, and you put that on, and whenever you hear the bell, that's when you got a fish on. I've done stuff like that. There's a place that I go where I go river fishing, and I have a specific rod for it. That's the thing. Once you get really into fishing, it's like playing music, or it's like any hobby. You start collecting. And for me, I collected poles and stuff and reels, like Shimano, Shakespeare, which I always mess up their name. I always call it like Shakespeare, something like that. I don't know why. I just do it. I don't know. And there's a bunch of good poles. The Ugly Stick, I have a few of those. They're pretty good. I don't test. They say you can like bend it and it wouldn't break. I don't test that shit, man. But I've done some really dumb things before with fishing. I feel like that's like something that happens because it's like a learning experience. So you're gonna look like an idiot. I love it too now that I'm kind of like more experienced angler. I love seeing the guy that doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. You can tell right the fuck away. Oh, you can so tell, and it's so funny. Like for example, like there was a time where I was fishing with Christina. We're on this little kind of, it's like a fishing dock. They're pretty popular in New England. I don't know if they have them where you're at, but if there's like a pond, they'll put like a little dock, and it literally has like their own like pole holders in the railings and stuff. It's really cool, and it's really awesome. So I was fishing there, and I was doing just like my lazy man fishing, and I had like 2 rods up, and I see this guy walk up with this pole, and he has this huge bobber, and it's like, here's the hook, here's the bobber. So that was sitting, here's the water, so that means the hook was like dangling right there. And I'm seeing this guy just cast out, and I'm pulling up monsters, dude. I'm pulling up bass and pickerel and friggin', oh my god, perch, crappie. And this guy's sitting here with this bobber, and he's just pulling up little bluegills. And I go up to him and I go, what do you got in your tackle box, man? And he goes, oh, I don't have much, And he goes, I'm not really much of a fisherman. And I go, in the back of my mind, I go, yeah, no shit, no, yeah. You don't have to tell me that, man. So I ended up giving him some of my lures. I remember like hooking him up, and I like set him up with this rig, and I go, try that out, man. Like, I'm telling you, just cast that. See, you're setting your bobber way up. Personally, it depends on where you're fishing. Sometimes I used to use a bobber when I first got into it, but now I dead weight, because I think dead weighting is when you just don't have a bobber, you just let it sink and you kind of mimic it. People use lures and stuff like that. I use live bait personally. I use Gamakatsu hooks too, and they're expensive, but they're worth it. It's like a wise word is you're only as good as your tools, and so you spend some money on good proper equipment, you're gonna get good results and everything. So yeah, that's something I like to do, and so I ended up helping that guy out, and I love that's the whole part of fishing I love. sharing knowledge, just helping each other out, shooting the shit with people. I met so many great people just from fishing, like just talking. I mean, I'm not friends with them on Facebook or anything like that, but I mean, I met some really cool people. And you'll never know who you meet. Like there was this one time I was up north and I was fishing and I was going trout fishing, and this guy wanted me to take his son out to go like what was it called? He wanted me to teach him like how to trout fish. I'm not that good, but I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When he was talking to me, I was pulling out trout left and right. So yeah, it was kind of luck. So he's like, yeah, you should help. I love if you could help me and my son go. I'll take you on a canoe. He was pretty much saying like he owns like a ski resort. Lo and behold, and he was telling me that if I helped him and his son, he would give me a kayak. And I just never followed through with it because I don't know. Dude, I get opportunities like that so many times. Like weird. I bump into shit like that all the time. I never follow up with it. You want to know why? Because I just don't. Because it's one of those things where I think growing up I used to leap on those moments, and I always used to just get screwed over. So I just play it safe. I'm like, nah. If you're looking where I'm looking right now, I have two kayaks right now. I have my kayak, which is an amazing thing. I love it. I love that thing. Oh, it's my baby. And that's the thing. Once you start going fishing, you realize, like, I used to shoreline fish all the time, and it sucks, dude. I fucking hate shoreline fishing. You want to know why? I hate people that just crowd you and they just make it obnoxious for you. There's a difference when you buddy with someone than you're just being a hobsnogger or a snob hog, whatever you call them. It's never fun. There was this time, right? What I want to tell you was there's a spot I was going fishing at, and it's called Turtle Pond, and it's a very good spot in New Hampshire for fishing. And I was fishing there, and mind you, my setup was very small. I had 4-pound test line on. I had a 5-foot rod because I just got out from a trout spot. So trout, you usually use a smaller rig for that. So I wasn't expecting to catch a fucking monster on this. I was just going for the heck of it. And now, as I'm doing this wife comes up with her kids. This dad comes up with his kids. 2 different families are there. They're fishing. This guy's fishing next to me. And there's like an old dude that's just kind of chilling on his like pickup truck. That's like a thing. So I'm fishing, and next thing you know, I get a huge bite. Like, I know it was not how I knew. I just didn't want to catch it, So I'm sitting there like, okay, this is way too big. And so I'm fighting it. I'm fighting it for about 15 minutes or so. And at this point, people are like gathering around, and all that old dude on the pickup is like right behind me, and he's like, oh, that's a big one, oh, you got a good one. And he's, everyone's looking at my setup, and they're like, how the hell are you doing this? And I'm just, letting it run, like get tired out, and then I kind of tug it back, and then when it runs off, I let it run, and then I freaking bring it back because I'm using a 5-pound test line, and I'm using it on a very small reel. So this was a big whatever it was. Well, it gets about 10 feet. I surface it 10 feet in front of me, and there's like this deck, a fishing dock, and it's a raised platform that's above the water, so you can see easily 10 feet out, and you can see what it was. This little girl goes, oh my God, Dad, he caught a turtle. And this turtle was just like fucked, dude. And I felt horrible. Now, the mom is like, oh God, like, everyone's kind of freaking out. And me and this dude, we didn't even speak to each other when this happened. Like, we didn't even know each other. We just look at each other. He looks at me, goes, you need to bring that up, bring it up. I'm going to grab it in the back. And I go, yep, once you do that, I'm going to try to get we just start communicating like, we immediately knew like the situation, how to get rid of it and everything. But it changed when we realized where I'd hooked it. What had happened was this turtle had swallowed the hook. So this hook was literally in the turtle. So we literally just had to snip it out. Now, some of you might think like, that's why would you do that? It will push itself out. It will loosen itself out. He's either going to shit it out, which that's going to be miserable, and I feel bad for that turtle. He could die, or he could push it back out. There's multiple things that could happen, but when you, this turtle was this big. It was fucking huge. You know why that? I don't understand why it like the setup I was using. It wasn't like a normal like. Guess why that's why they call it Turtle Pond. I never went back there because I felt horrible, and that's happened to me. And that like I've had experiences like that, you know, where it's like you know, like for example, when I first bought my kayak, it was at Walmart, and I didn't have any straps, right? So I just got these straps that were like I think it came with no, I bought this like cheap strap setup at Walmart, and it was horrible. Oh my god. It was so bad. Like, it wasn't like like the straps I have, they're like ratchet strap, you know, whatever they're called, like the ratchet straps or whatever. I don't know what they're called, but like they're the crank. I have those ones. They're like the legit ones, you know, 100-pound, you know, they're legit. And so the ones that I had previously, they were literally like these thin little green things that you just like, you pulled it through the thing. And I'm not even kidding you. When you let it go, it would just loosen itself back up. So my dumb Polak ass, I can say it because I'm fucking Polish. So my dumb Polak ass, this is what I do. I rope them. So it's like when I'm driving, I have both of them tied. I have both of the ends, and I'm pulling it. I'm tightening it as I'm driving. So I'm pulling them both, so that way they don't loosen up. And I'm sitting there driving like 10 miles per hour, like don't fucking fall off. And then that's when I realized I had to get like really good straps. So I went out the next day and I like got like good straps, not with the kayak on. If anyone's seen me, they would have thought I was an idiot because it was a nightmare. Like the kayak was wobbling and shit. Oh my god. I thought if I wasn't gonna die, I was gonna certainly take someone out. There was a time also where I had I went up north, and with my kayak, I had my kayak on my roof, and I have this anchor system. I have this like anchor system on the side of it. So I'm driving on the highway, and I'm going like 70 miles per hour, and the anchor system of my kayak, and it's not like an anchor, it's like a big plastic thing that has like the rope in it, and so you can like pull it and everything, but it weighs a good amount, right? I'm driving, thank god no one was walking on the side of the road, thank god no one was driving behind me, because that fucking anchor system just goes flying off and it hits the side of the car. It sounded like I hit a fucking person. Me and Christina just go, what was that? And I look in the rearview mirror, and long and behold, there's like my kayak, anchor system just kind of flopping in the distance, and I have to pull over to the side of the road. I almost had a panic attack. My heart was like, I don't know if that's ever happened to you, where like something's like, have you ever put your cup on the top of your car? You forget about it, and you get in your car and you drive off, and it falls off. But for that split second, you're just like, who did I hit? That happened to me just a couple days ago. I went to McDonald's, and I went to go fishing. And I put the McDonald's large cup, whatever, on the hood of my car. And right before I got into it to leave, I just drove off. And next thing you know, it just falls right off. Like I just look in the rearview mirror and I go, oh damn it, because I barely had. Oh, I hate when that happens, man. Because you just thank God no one was around, because it's just embarrassing. It's just one of those embarrassing things, You don't. It's miserable. It's not a fun time. I've done a lot of stupid, silly things. There's a time where I went camping up north, and there was like no one there. So we went to like they had like a little like a, what do you call it? Like the center of the campground, like where it's like the person's there and like you can get like some supplies. Well, on the front of the door they had like this map that you could like, it was just tacked on there, and no one was there, and I returned this map. But I remember Christine was just looking at it, and she goes, I don't think I'm gonna remember these directions. And I just look at it and I go, oh, you're not? And I just, well, here, let's just use it. We'll bring it back, and we did. When we came back, I literally was like, stop, and I ran up to the building and I tacked it back on the wall. Like, it was never missing. Why not? And actually, it was a cool hike. We ended up going to see a waterfall, which was really cool. Have you guys ever seen a waterfall before? Like a natural waterfall? Wait, did I just say natural waterfall? What the fuck? uh, but like seeing that's cool, you know. I remember it was funny. We were going there and I was like, oh, we can go swimming in it. I took my foot. Holy shit! Did I just have a stroke? I dipped my foot in the water. I'm like, hell no, it's way too cold. Way too cold. Guys, it was a great podcast today. I'm probably going to end it here, honestly. It's a good hour or so. We talked about some funny stories, talked about some funny facts. Tomorrow, I'm going to have my first guest. I can't wait. It's going to be great. It's going to be Jake Bartolin from Gramophone Productions and Studios. And he's a producer and beat maker in New England, New Hampshire. So I'm going to have him on. And we're going to talk some funny stories and talk about some serious stuff and some not some serious stuff. And I hope you guys tune in for that. It'll probably be around like 6 o'clock p.m. It's like Eastern time. That's it. I hope you guys have a go on. I'll see you guys then. Thank you so much for tuning in for episode 12. And I'll see you all tomorrow for episode 13. All right, guys. Take it easy.
Well, I'm bored as shit, got nothing to do during this quarantine time. So I might as well make a video or post something on YouTube. So it's my podcast.